Hey guys, Brad here with Custom Offsets. Got another episode of Lifts and Levels for you. This is going to be a BDS 6-inch kit for 09 to 13 Ram 2500s. This is going to be the 6-inch kit. BDS makes a few different 6-inch kits. This is going to be their standard short arm kit, if you will, which you can see here. And then they make a 6-inch long arm kit. There's a 6-inch coilover kit for short arm and a 6-inch coilover kit for the long arm system. But this one's going to be the short arm. And then another thing, first things first, is you'll see the springs here. So they make this kit to fit either the diesel trucks or the gas truck. This truck here is going to be the gasser 5.7 Hemi. So we got the gasser springs. It's basically a softer spring rate than the diesel trucks because obviously the diesel engine weighs more. So we got springs up front to provide the lift. Brand new control arms for the front axle here. These are super beefy, 1/4 inch wall tubing on this, and eyelets, and then grease zerk fittings on them as well, so they're greasable. And then looks like we got Fox shocks for the front here, and then this customer opted for the NX2 shocks for the rear. That might be due in part to availability issues because we're seeing that a lot right now, struggling with availability, all manufacturers pretty much. So I'm assuming that probably had something to do with it, but I'm not sure. So we got Fox 2.0s in the front and then some NX2 shocks for the rear. We also got the NX2 stabilizer here. Moving on, we got some new brackets here. For the front of the truck, some control arm relocation brackets. These are all nice 1/4 inch thick brackets as well, super beefy. Sway bar drop brackets, 1/4 inch as well. Some bump stops, obviously some new longer extended bump stops. Bunch of hardware here, bunch of poly bushing inserts for the control arms with the new sleeves and everything. Drop Pitman Arm, so you're gonna have to take the old Pitman Arm off the box and get this new one on to correct for the steering geometry. This here is going to be the track bar relocation bracket, which is going to be for the front of the truck, and what that does is it moves the front track bar so that the front axle is still centered under the truck once it's lifted. It's a key piece right there. A lot of kits will either not use one, or they will try and make you buy extended track bar, and it gets a lot pricier when you have to do that. So having a bracket to relocate the factory track bar is a nice option, because then if you ever need to replace the track bar, you can simply just buy a factory track bar to replace it. That's going to be everything for the front of the vehicle, and then the rear is pretty simple. We just got blocks for the rear, some blocks, some new U-bolts, and then new hardware for them as well. On this kit, they do ask you what diameter your rear axle you have, and that's because the diesel trucks will usually have a larger axle in the trucks. Usually they're an AAM, I believe an AAM 11.5 in the diesel, and so those will actually have a larger diameter axle tube than the gassers. And when you have that, you obviously need a larger diameter U-bolt, so that's why they'll ask for a 4-inch diameter. If your truck has a 4-inch diameter rear axle or a 3.5, it's because they need to get you the right size U-bolt that'll fit around the axle tube. So that's the 6-inch BDS kit. We're going to go ahead and install it on the vehicle, and then we'll check back in once it's done. All right guys, we got the BDS kit installed on the truck here, so we're going to run through the components. First things first, we got the new coil spring up front, and then you can see the new Fox shocks in the middle here. This is a Ram, so they do have the shock inside of the spring like this. Kind of a weird design, kind of annoying to change, but not too bad. Short arms up here, so they're full replacement arms from BDS, uppers, lowers, and then of course this relocation bracket on the top of the axle as well. We got our sway bar drops, so that'll drop the sway bar off of the frame so you can reuse the factory end links and everything like that. Another thing, another piece to mention here is going to be the drop Pitman Arm, which you can see here. You got to remove the factory Pitman Arm off the box, install the new dropped one, and then the track bar relocation bracket up here, which moves the track bar to keep the front axle centered under the truck. That's another key component. That's pretty much everything up front. Now we'll go to the back. And in the back of the truck, we got, of course, just the blocks and the new U-bolts here. As I mentioned, 3.5 versus 4-inch axle tube diameter. This is a gas truck, so this one had the 3.5-inch axle tube diameter, so it's going to have the tighter U-bolts, so that's something to, worth mentioning as well. And then you'll see here, Dodges are kind of weird. They have these like factory stacked. They almost look like cut leaf springs, and then they just put them in part of the leaf pack, so it's like a factory block. So it does look kind of weird, but yeah, this is actually the factory part of the leaf spring here, these 3 little stacked pieces of what looks to be like leaves. And then we got a new block here, new U-bolts, and then the NX2 shocks in the rear, and that's all that's going on in the rear of the truck. It's going to be the BDS 6-inch short arm kit for 09 to 13 Ram 2500s. Peace.